dashboard. I have this 2001 V6 Mustang. First things first is the build process was with me and my buddy Ty. He helped me build this thing. But V6 Mustang, it's got Raceland coils, solid bushings, semi-solid bushings in the rear, camber plates, got a steering wheel, a hydraulic e-brake, knuckles, modded knuckles. That Ty cut up and welded for me. Control arm is notched for the knuckles for more angle. Pretty basic. I mean, you don't need a lot to drift, but stuff like the coilovers and angle helps a lot, obviously. When we got this car, it was just bone stock basic, with cut springs, and we tried that out. Awful. So then we were like, okay, we just still want to be super cheap with it. I don't want to spend a lot, so I got these max speeding rod coils. Lasted 8 months and ended up blowing one of the rear coils, and it was just shitty, super bouncy, hated it. Ended up still wanting to be cheap, so I got the Racelands, which were like $500 versus this max speeding rods that were $300. So I still wanted to be cheap. Eventually, you know, I'll go to BCs, or actually I'll probably go to field coilovers. They're the only coilovers that have a true coilover in the rear. It's not a separate spring and shock or whatever. The handbrake, I got it super cheap also off of Amazon. It worked fine for a while, and then the master cylinder took a shit, started leaking, and it wasn't locking as good, so got a nice Willwood one, and that works a lot better. Ty made like a little custom handle for me with a bike grip on it, so it works awesome. So, obviously cheap, everybody says you get what you get. It's totally true. I was just, you know, didn't have a lot of money, so I want to get cheap. It really just depends on your situation. If you have money, yeah, go for the expensive shit. It's way better. But if you're just grassroots little drifter and you got your Miata, your 240 or whatever, I mean, do what you want, get the cheap stuff, see how it works. You'll learn pretty quickly that it's not as nice. My favorite thing, I just like Mustangs. I've always liked them. That's just who I am. Anybody knows me, like, oh yeah, Chris, the Mustang guy. Yeah, it's me. The worst thing about the car, stuff I hate about it, one being, I love and hate it, is a solid axle. You can't just swap out a diff or whatever in axles as if you can an independent rear suspension. Parts for it aren't as available, cheap, or I guess nice even sometimes as JDM. So I had a Mustang. It's my very first car. It was my baby, pride and joy, and I totaled it. And I was just I was crying like a little baby. It was everything to me. And I got another Mustang. It was alright. It was like a 2005. It was just alright. And then I happened to look on Craigslist one day, and I see 2001 Mustang, like what I had as my first car. I'm like, oh, dope. I look at it more, I'm like, holy shit, dude. That's my old fucking car. I was like, no fucking way. I look at the pictures, it has the same hash marks. It has like a Decepticon logo. It had, I used to have white racing seats in it. It was my fucking car. Like, how does that fucking happen? It was like 3 years later, and I stumbled upon my car. So we finally go out to McMinnville, me, Ty, and my other buddy, and we look at it, and I drive it, and it's misfiring. The brakes are still grinding from when I totaled it. Shocks are blown. All sorts of shit is just wrong with this thing. And so I go with Ty, and like we stepped aside, discussed a little bit. Ty said, offer him $800. Like, alright, see what we can do. I said, hey man, would you take $800? Like, not trying to lowball you, but you know, it's pretty wreck. He's like, deal. I was like, wait, what? You say $800 deal for my old car? And I was just like, no fucking way. So I got my car. We're still in McMinnville. It's misfiring and stuff, so we went to the local AutoZone parts store. Found out it was a O2 sensor, and did that. Still misfiring. Shit. All right. Well, we got to get back. So code came back up. Went to another AutoZone, and like, oh shit. Look under the hood. One spark plug isn't even plugged in. Awesome. And I think the wire was messed up, so we got the spark plug, or we just got another wire. Plugged it in, ran perfect. So the age was like fucking, what was I, like 17 probably when I got into cars, and I got my first car, which was this baby. Yeah, I got into cars somewhat when I got the car, but I was just out of high school, I think, 18-ish, 19. I was working at Fred Meyer, and again, my buddy Ty, who helped me build this car, he started working at Fred Meyer with me, and he had like a Jeep or something at the time, and we just started talking. I drove around with him all day, all night, after work. Yeah, I just started hanging out with him more, and he knew his shit. He knew what he was doing, and he just taught me. You know, we do little stuff here and there to the car. He taught me things. Like, he is like, if you want to call it, he's my sensei. Yeah, he got me into it. As far as drifting goes, though, I got into drifting about the same time that I met him. It's funny story. We went to a parking lot, and that was probably like a very start of my drifting. We went to a parking lot, and I was just like, what can this thing do? And it was open diff, just on cut springs, super stock basic. Went to a parking lot, and I just kept clutch kicking and revving and turning, and it was rough. It was rough. We got it. We got some donuts down and stuff, but I wouldn't call it drifting. So we started leaving from there. Started to not be able to drive the car. So I blew up the clutch. Just fucking around, and thankfully, though, I put it into second. I could drive it all the way home. Being 18 or something, I had to explain to my mom what I did. $700 later for a new clutch, and yeah. So last year was about when I got this car back. We got it back, and then we realized, okay, there's a drift event at Pat's Acres. It's a week away. So we got it ready in a week, and that was my first event, was Park Fest. Yeah, I did. I watched one day just to kind of see what it was about, and the next day I went out and drove for Park Fest, and that right there was the start of actually drifting. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing until I got on the track. I thought I knew how I like take corners on the street, and I thought I was drifting. I didn't know shit until I got on the track. You know, I've been doing it a year now, and I can, you know, link the track pretty good and everything, but there's just so much more that I can learn. I've grown a lot in just a year's time. Yeah, you don't know until you go on the track. You know, everybody kind of fucks around on the street and stuff, and they're like, yeah, dude, I drift and stuff, and you go out to the track, completely different story. Goals with drifting. First thing I ever thought was I want to be FD. I want to be FD. That's it. I still want to. I want to go through the ranks and get up there in FD. I want to travel. I want to go through all the tracks. But I still want to keep it like local. Like I still want people to know that like I love this place. I love this area. I love the community. I still want to be a part of it. Best piece of advice I would say: get on the track. I know it sucks to pay, say, $100, whatever. I mean, if you have a car and it's rear-wheel drive and you want to get into drifting, just pay the 100, 140 is what it is at Pat's Acres. Pay the money, get on the track, and fuck around. Yeah, I had a couple people that were really chill and just like, oh, hey, man, what's up? But for the most part, it felt like I was just kind of focusing on me, just learning stuff. I probably wasn't that, well, I know I wasn't that good, so I don't think anybody really paid attention to me as much. Probably after like 3, maybe 4 months of drifting, people really started to like come around and like, oh, hey man, like, yeah, dude, it's hard to keep up with you. That V8 is so hard to keep up. I'm like, it's a V6, bro, sorry. A lot of it, for me, I love talking to people, and I love all the camaraderie and stuff. I just was so focused on drifting, I just kind of zoned everything out, and I wasn't focusing on people around me and stuff until, you know, way later when I was drifting. I was like, shit, I should take a moment, like, so I started walking around to people's cars and stuff, and I'm like, hey man, those are some good tandems and stuff, and then I just started getting to know people. It's a cool community. It's pretty laid back, especially at Pat's Acres. It's a really nice place. The structure of it is super nice laid out, and everybody just kind of relaxes. You know, you're all doing the same thing. You have different cars, you're different people, but whatever. You're still all drifting. Community it's just cool. You know, you need some help, hey bro, can I borrow that socket or that breaker bar or whatever? Yeah dude, no worries. I would definitely say, yeah, it's impacted me in the aspect of you know, I'm already a pretty outgoing person, but it just kind of got me even more outgoing and more social. I started joining pages and stuff, and I started learning things too, let alone stuff that, you know, I knew just about this car. You know, people told me about their cars. Opportunities with the drifting community. Just knowing people, that's the biggest thing. I think one of the first opportunities I got was my tire hookup. My buddy Ty works at a shop, and the guy that supplies them tires, he came in, he saw that I was working on a Mustang. He's like, hey, I have Mustangs. Like, what's up? And, you know, he was just like, you probably need tires if you're drifting. Oh, I supply tires. I was like, what? So he ended up getting me a deal on tires, and I've been going to him ever since. So that's a shout out to Rick. Another big one is just information. You know, I talk to people through Instagram who are living in different states, and they're drifting a Mustang like this, and I just talk to them. I'm like, hey, you know, what coilovers are you running? How do you like them? And I just pick their brain, and it helps me figure out stuff about my car. You know, I didn't know that fuel suspension. I didn't know that they were one of the only coilovers that were a true coilover in the rear. It's just, knowledge is power, and, you know, just talking with people about that is the biggest thing. You just got to be out there. You got to be like, this is what I do. You know, I work at a retail job, and I talk about it all the time. And out of the blue, this guy's like, hey man, you know, I got this part for this car. Yeah, come by and pick it up. You know? it's just being out there talking about it, and there's tons of opportunities.